All right, here we go. Make sure your phone's on silent. Okay. Hello and welcome back to this week's podcast. My name is Donovan, your host, and this week's theme is Finding Your Why in 2019. A new guest today, my friend Jay. Jay, would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, howdy. I'm Jay. I'm double majoring in political science with a concentration in pre-law and finance. I'm also a freshman, and it's good to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, so this is your first podcast.
Yeah, it really is. I've heard many podcasts, but this is my first time being in the podcast, so I'm kind of excited to see what happens.
What's entailed. Yeah. I would say for me personally, this is a pretty big podcast. Planning and sort of figuring out my purpose is a very hard thing for people to do, especially this young. You know, a lot of people don't figure it out until later in life, but we kind of wanted just to start the process and talk about what you can do to actually begin. So I wanted to start off with some personal success stories. So both of us were in marching band. We had a really great time, lots of academic successes, but why don't you tell me something that you're really proud of that made you find, let me specify it, that made you find out what you kind of wanted to do, if that helps, you know.
Let's see, well, in my high school career, well, as I said earlier, I was in marching band, and for me, like, I came from a brand new school, like, first year, no band, like, it was terrible. It was very, like, my freshman year, we had to share with, like, the football field or the practice field with, like, 3 different sets of football teams, and we didn't have all of the instruments that we needed and all that stuff, so we ended up getting, let's say, like, our final score at the end of the season, of our marching season, was a 2, and going off from basing it off, like, a 2 is not a 2 is not something you want as personally, like, you want a 1, you want that 1. And, you know, hard work and dedication, like, follows that. Then sophomore year happens, and it's a state year for 5A schools, and I'm in a 5A high school. So hard work and dedication, and you just go hard, and you just don't want to experience it too again. So you're just like, wow, like, I really want a 1. And literally our only goal for that year was just to get a 1, you know, like, we weren't expecting to make area finals, so, like, we weren't expecting it. And then all of a sudden, like, we go to area finals, and they announced it's like out of 5 bands that we advanced to state, being the second band, we almost won area. And, you know, it's just like, it's crazy to think that, you know, you go from a 2 to state, and you're just like, all that hard work, you know, it's something that it's just like, how hard you work for something is how hard you'll end up, like, achieving it, you know, like, and the reward for it is, like, spectacular, like, it's amazing. And, you know, we went to state, and that was the best experience I've ever gotten, you know, out of my 4 years in high school. And then following junior year, we go to BOA regional, and then we win the competition, and that's because we're competing with big name bands. So it's like, yeah, so, like, we end up winning our class and stuff, and it's just like, wow, like, we can do this, you know. And that's our 3rd year of existence, and, you know, you just keep pushing, and the music kept getting harder, the drill kept getting harder, and it was just like all this hard work that I started my freshman year, you know, like, I just didn't want this, like, you know, I didn't want for my underclassmen to experience that Division II, and I didn't want them to experience, like, this failure. You know, it just, like, motivates you to be like, oh, I want more, I want to achieve more. Because why? Because, like, it just makes you feel better in many senses. And then senior year, like, it's crazy, because then we make state again, like, our 2nd year, and then we get, like, 10 places higher than what we achieved 2 years ago, and then we win, like, all our BOA competitions, and we're winning every single competition, and they're literally just handing out the trophies. We literally just go and play, and they just hand out the trophy, and you're just like 4 years in the making, and you're winning, like, and it just feels great, and just motivates you to making you, like, become the type of person that you want to become. And it gives you, like, personality in many occasions, because then, like, literally throughout, I can say this, like, throughout college, like, my first semester in college, like, if I wanted something and I had to work for it, or in many cases, like I wanted to work in school. So like I had to build a perfect resume. I had to build my perfect like, cover letter, perfect everything. And, and band to me personally gave me that personality and that discipline that I needed, to become the type of person that I wanted to become. And in the future necessarily, and also for like my future like workplace and stuff like that. And there's just like, and then mostly like one of my like, from what I learned from all this success and stuff like that, is that you just have to like keep pushing, and you just have to keep going at it, and you just have to abide by like a motive, or like abide by what you want to achieve at the end of the semester. Yeah, it might be hard right now, but imagine like 1 week later, like 3 weeks later, like 5 months later, when you actually achieve what you want to achieve, and you've achieved it, and you're just like, wow, like 5 months or like whatever the time frame that you had set for yourself, like you did it and you're accomplished. And then at the end of the day, like you're gonna feel like an amazing person, because you're like, I kept going at it and I did it, and that's all that matters, is that you did it, like, and stuff. Yeah.
I think definitely. So from that story, you get a whole lot of concepts that we're going to be talking about today. For example, Jay's starting to work out with us, and he's been in that routine of literally going like 100% for 4 years, and so now he can apply that knowledge and how he accomplished those goals into working out. Even though it's like a different, change of pace, he can apply the same sort of skills that he learned through marching band and just, dedication.
Yeah.
And we can actually start to apply that to different walks of life,
Mm-hmm.
starting a new job, a new hobby, interest, just like this. And it's just those, like, when you do something like that and you build skills off of your interests or whatever it may be, you can apply that to other places. And I think that's what really helps find your why. For anything, not even just your life's purpose, but for your job, your interests, all that kind of stuff.
And wait, let me like backtrack it like real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
And it's not just like, from band. Like I just didn't experience this just from band. Like in high school, like I was in varsity swimming for like two years, and then
Flex on.
so like and I was president of these like BPA, president of all the other clubs, and and you meet like your teachers. Like I was friends with all my teachers, so it was like like that's building you, that's like giving you that personality and that like discipline that I've been saying that that will like enhance you in many ways. Like when I entered high school, I was like, nah, like I don't care, like like this doesn't matter. But like the first semester I entered, like my freshman year, like in 2014, it's just like I had teachers that cared, and I would speak to them on a daily basis, and I'd be like, hey, like help me out, like let me improve, like I want more, and it showcased like a lot in my GPA, and it showcased in my ranking, and it's just like, like if you want something, you have to work for it in order for it to like marginalize and be like showcased, So you just have to like keep pushing and just keep going, like even if it might be tough right now, just keep going at it. Fight. Just like Creed. Just like in the movie Creed.
Yeah, exactly. That's the workout we're somewhat doing.
Yeah.
So going off of that point, one of the things we wanted to talk about were our goals specifically for 2019. So you can sort of get a inspiration, I guess, for your own goals, sort of how to build them. So since we're talking about Creed, let's talk about athletic goals, sort of keeping ourselves healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some goals you have?
Well, as I was saying, like I was very active back in the early stages of high school and like middle school, and I was in swimming. I used to be in tennis, and I had band. So like I was very active. I was very fit. That would be considered my peak years at the moment, But then circumstances happened. I had to take classes. I wanted to graduate in 4 years, like in the required time, and I wanted to take more AP classes, more advanced classes. So it was just like, cutting out tennis, cutting out swimming, and I loved band because mostly all my friends were in band. So it was just like, so I never had time to actually like, go work out or know what I was doing, because like I always had my coach and I always had my teammates, tell me like, oh, this is how it works out and stuff like that. So like by senior year, like junior year, like I started, gaining weight. Like I started getting, like stuff like that. And I was like, but it didn't showcase because I was like, I was pretty tall for a Hispanic, you know, we're all pretty short. And me over here, I'm like a 6'2", and you know, it's very like weird in that aspect. And now that I'm here, now that I'm in college, and now that I'm like not taking so many things such as a band or like stuff like that, I can just focus on myself, you know. And it's not about that you need the motivation. It's just like the motivation is there. You just need to like grasp it in your own terms. Because I can say like let's say like for instance, I had a friend who was like, oh, I don't have any motivation to work out, and I was like, well, don't you just want to look better? Like, don't you want to look better, feel better, you know, be fit? So it's like, don't be thinking about, you know, like girls, don't be thinking about like the way people are gonna look at you. Like, think about the way you're gonna look at yourself. You know, that's what I say, like for my athletic, you know, fitness now. That's why I'm doing it, because I'm doing it for myself, like not for anybody else, because like nobody else is gonna be in my body. Like, I'm the one in my body, you know. So it's just like you just have to keep like going at it. Like it's always said, and you've probably heard around, but you just have to go at it, and you have to go hard, and just don't worry about anybody else. And if you want to get fit, if you want to get that six pack, like the big broad chest, big broad back, big arms, like you have to like honestly go for it. Like you actually have to like dedicate at least 2 hours. Like you have to get your protein shake if you can get protein shake, or if you can like eat right. You know, there's so much to do. There's so much to being healthy that like take advantage. Like if you're so young, and if you're so like and if you have the opportunity and you have the time to actually go and do what you like do to work out, stuff like that, take that opportunity, because in the future, like you never know what's gonna happen. Don't regret anything. So yeah.
All right, well, Jay just asked all the questions, so see you later.
Yeah. So
okay, well let's divide that up a little bit. So first thing, we know Jay's skinny. He's a tall guy.
I'm very skinny.
He at least has
skinny. Size 30.
We know, he's just starting out. So just like many of us do New Year's resolutioners, the motivation dies out very quickly.
Yeah.
You're super, super hyped at the beginning, and this is about the time when people start questioning it. This is where you actually find your last 5% of new resolutioners keep going. And I immediately noticed this week alone, how many less people were in the gym. Because last week, every time I went, there was a solid, 25, 30 people in the gym. Now I'm starting to go, there's maybe less than 10 people. And granted, sometimes I'll go different times, but there'll be times where it's just like dead empty, and it's just like me and a partner or something like that. So Jay's really picking up the pace. We're all picking up the pace to make sure we're still going strong. You can't say you're slowing down if you're speeding up.
Yeah, sure.
And on top of that, like you were saying, all the other stuff that goes into it, that's the part that really gets people bogged down. You're eating right and you don't see any results for the first 2 weeks. Well, that's because your body has to get used to it.
Yeah.
You don't even build a habit for 3 weeks. Why would you see like change? Unless you're like extremely at either end, you're not going to see too much. So I think Jay, you've been struggling with like eating more.
Yeah, because I literally don't know. I just forget to eat.
Yeah, sometimes your schedule doesn't work, and that's the problem. We have to get around that. So going into like with college, with classes, we can at least plan around like what times. Mm-hmm. But if you're at like a work, you got to eat like occasionally throughout the day. You have to get up out of your chair and walk around. And I think just those tiny things. We discussed this a little bit more in the Fictions About Fitness, so you can check that podcast out. But it's just those tiny little things that really help. And especially for myself, I have to kind of cut down a little bit just because I wasn't being mindful about what I was eating, and it really showed. I'm about. It was hard for me to get over that. When I was injured, I kind of felt sad for myself. I was just like, I will do it in a little bit. But because of that, I kept decreasing my progress. And then once I got into it, I had to recover back to the point where I was. And now I'm starting to get into that actual routine. And with a lot of the videos coming out about the updates, you'll see how much I like just changed like with my attitude. You've seen it. I was really bogged down the first week because I just was dying. I was so tired, sore, And
He'd be
this
sitting
week,
down.
yeah, I pass out so fast because I'm just dead. of
Yeah, and they'd
energy.
be like, what's wrong? Just keep going at it.
Yeah, and now we're starting to see that progress of your muscles actually hitting the point where they can survive the workout. As for goals, though, for me, I really want I said, we kind of, for me specifically, I covered this, but I want to focus on just being healthy, being fit, back where I was a couple years ago, being stronger, and being more mindful. I think that's the biggest thing, is being mindful. A lot of people think they're actually eating healthy, but they don't know the hidden stuff, chemicals,
Yeah.
a lot of sugar. For one example, there's these protein shakes on campus that they seem healthy at first. It's a dairy based, 26 grams of protein. It's got carbs for like a pre-workout kind of thing, so you have the energy, but it's got a ton of sugar. It's got the same amount of sugars as this protein. However, there's this one at another place, other side of campus, that has 42 grams of protein, but only 8 grams of sugar, which is way better for you. And it's basically the same chemicals or whatever they go put into it. It's just better for you. The only problem is that it's on the other side of campus. So, it's another 5-10 minute walk. So if you put in that extra effort, you burn a little bit more calories, you get a better shake out of it, and it's just better for you overall.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely something that you have to get used to. It's just this tiny first, it's the hump. And then if you look at like any sort of graph of like how to get into a habit, it's super hard, like difficulty level by like, however long, it's really high at the top, and then it just sinks, because once you're in that routine, you stick with it.
Yeah.
And that's the same with anything, with band, with swimming,
Yeah.
with extracurriculars, and starting to work out. But yeah, so those are my goals. Those are Jay's goals for athleticism.
And not only that, like just go Super Saiyan and just like literally just go Super Saiyan.
Like hype yourself up, you don't
hype it up. Like honestly, for me, when I wanna like honestly, like I don't like going to the gym. Like I don't like working out. I don't like it. But I want to get back to my peak years and go back to like having an aesthetic body. And for me, like I have a motivation where it's like, oh, I'm going to New York during Easter break. Okay, that's like my goal. Is I'm gonna look good. I want to look be aesthetically pleasing. When I'm taking pictures. Because like pictures matter. Like when you go places, like you just want to take pictures, and then you're gonna be like, oh wow, like my body just ruined, like, or the way you look, or the way you feel. There's gonna be like you're gonna be in that sense that, oh, I don't look good. Like I'm not gonna post this. I'm not gonna post that. I'm not gonna post this and that. Like so. By working on this like right now in January, so before I leave to New York and East, like for April, at least look aesthetically pleasing, and I'll be more happier with my pictures when I post them on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, like wherever a case it may be. I don't know, Craigslist, like I don't know, like I don't know where you're gonna post these pictures, but like at least like and it's just going back like. You want to get a sugar daddy or sugar mommy, like you gotta look nice. You want to get money, you want to pay college. Let's try to look nice.
work for it.
Like work for it. You want to get $200 paid money just by showing your feet. Like,
Oh my gosh, we're going into weird territory.
like just things like that. Like use that as a motivation, or not, or be like, okay, like or settle a cheat day and be like, okay, Saturday is my cheat day. I gotta keep pushing these 5 days, and then the Friday I'm gonna pig out for like a few. Like it's. Like those little fundamental little theories that can be like addressed with trying in your progress of getting like aesthetically pleasing or fit and stuff like that. Like it'll all work out. Like I promise. Like, and if it doesn't, well, like are you trying hard enough? Like it all just depends. Like you gotta commit to 100%, 110% and more. So you have to go hard.
A six-pack wouldn't be desirable if everyone had one.
Yeah.
And I think, I was looking at pictures of myself just like a month ago for Christmas, right before I started. And I was like, holy crap, look how much I've already changed, Like I could see my gut going, the love handles, and then just like, I was just so mad, less than a year ago, I was probably in my peak shape, and it just made me super mad.
Yeah.
So really pushing, my goal is a little bit closer. Obviously I'm going to push afterwards, but like the first sort of goal is spring break, which is in about 6 weeks. Most people can get a really good transformation sort of start in those 8 weeks. So, from January 14th to March 14th. That's the perfect time for me to get started. So I'm ready for spring break. Then we have another month till Easter break, which is a 4-day weekend. And then after that we have summer. So, I've got the whole 5 months to get there, but we've got milestones between to sort of track my progress.
Yeah,
and it's
in other words, like to reward yourself.
and I definitely have a problem with picking out. It's super hard to eat healthy here. Sometimes the food's overcooked, undercooked, and it's just not good.
It's just not satisfying in
Yes,
many aspects.
it's very hard.
So
and
it's just like cafeteria food is not. It's not the best, at many points, but so you just want to satisfy yourself more, like you just end up going, like
it's super easy to just eat bad.
Yeah, it's super easy and it's super economical too. Like
it's way cheaper, because the Rags, the closest cafeteria to us, that's open. They're both open till like 8.
Yeah.
But what's open at 8 is the grill, and the only thing you can get there are burgers, chicken tenders, like quesadillas, stuff like that. So there's nothing healthy. You can make. I think they get really.
You can make a salad. You can make a salad, but at the end of the day, like the salad looks nasty, and you're just like, ew, like I don't want to eat salad. Like I'd rather just buy the salad that's already made, that's already packaged for me, which is gonna be worse.
Because you got like dressing and all that.
Yeah.
And like what I've ended up doing a lot is going to like our coffee shop and buying sandwiches there. But then I have a lot of carbs late at night, and I don't need that. And it's just super hard. We have the other cafeteria, but you can't always go all the way over there.
Because then you get lazy, and then the elements is cold, and
we have nothing to complain about, but I'm still cold. Anything under 70, I'm freezing. I'm sorry for all of our northerners that are triggered by that, but no, Texans cannot handle colds, at least.
It's where I come from. Like I live in McAllen, and the coldest it ever gets is 70 degrees, and some days, just winter lasts only one day out of the whole entire span of winter, and it's always usually hot, usually 100 degrees, 110, and it's just hot, and then cold is just something I can't live with.
Yeah,
I can't.
So moral of that story: don't get bogged down. Push through it. Go take those extra 500 steps to get to the place. All that. Other than that, I wanted to go on to like some more like social goals.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll start off so you get like kind of a good example. But I really want to push this YouTube thing off. It's really fun to like actually like explore this. Finding out what I'm really good at, finding other creators that are similar to me who have done the same process. It's really fun to like sort of get in that community. And with band, it was like, I can't say it was hard at first, but like once you become friends with people, those are friends for 4 years, those are friends for life. And it's just crazy how big of a community you can, or how strong of a bond you can create in 4 years. And so, YouTube's been going strong for 10 years now. And I really want to be a part of this community, whatever it may be. So, this is a goal that I have for myself with YouTube, by the end of the year, is that like I want to be either having some sort of like collaboration, some sort of sponsorship, or just someone reaching out to me saying, hey, do you mind doing X for me, doing some sort of review? I think that's just kind of like a cool little milestone, shoot a little high and maybe fun.
Sounds good. It's achievable.
And another quick one is like photography. I really want to get into photography.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard with like, because it's a very high entry rate. You have to have like a decent camera, sometimes editing software. And I know people say, at first, do what you can with what you have, but like in this world where people can take pictures off their phone, they look fantastic. It's those tiny details that make really, really.
Yeah, it just makes it or breaks it.
Yeah, and we're getting to that point where it's really just about quality now. It's like good versus great versus amazing. And I really want to be one of those people that like across campus, I'm like, oh, hey, you need pictures, go ask Donovan. And I think that's kind of just like, it's a small campus, so I can get a base or whatever. And I think it's kind of like a good base to start off of. So those are my 2 goals for, I guess, social things.
I think for me, socially speaking, 2019 is honestly just getting out there more. Like personally, I'm a huge extrovert. Like I believe I'm an extrovert, and I love being social with people. And right now on campus, I'm in so many clubs, I'm in so many organizations that I know the people that I need to know. Like me personally, like I just want to get connections. It's college, like any connections after I graduate and go to law school, like hopefully. So like I want to make even more connections. I want to meet more professors. I want to meet more students who are like share like-minded goals with me, and so we can like become friends and help each other out in the future or in the days to come. And then another one, like socially, is just honestly having more fun than I could have, like, than I did last year in 2018. 2019, I want to make it one of the starting point of like my social experience where, like, like I'll just go out and have fun with friends and stuff like that, like having and finding those friends that honestly like are going to be there for the rest of my life, like that, they'll say, let's go to this party, or you know what, let's go to the beach or something like that, something fun, just to not make 2019 super boring. And, because this might sound super cheesy, but, you just go to YOLO, you only, like, you really just only live one life. And if you just live your life regretting everything and not living to your full extent, then can you really say that you lived your own life? Like there's so many other people that that are going through like depression and who have committed suicide and stuff like this and that. And like 2018, I can say this, like I experienced that, like my own reasons, I wanted to do all of that, but I kept pushing and I was like, what, like this isn't me, like I don't need this, like there's more to come for me in the future, and I'm not going to stop because of the way I'm feeling. So for me personally, like I want to, and I regretted a lot of things, like I would get invited to many things and I wouldn't go because of so and so reason. And 2019 is that year where I'm just gonna be like, you know what? Like I want to be who I am. I want to find myself in many aspects. So I want to find out who I really am as a person, as a human being. Like a metaphorical, like like stuff like that. And I would just want to experience. I want to see the world for what it is, even if it might be ugly, if it might be bad, like or pretty or beautiful. Like it's. You have to live your life. Like people can talk about it, magazines or like the news or books or whatever, but you have to experience it yourself. And that resonates with me because I want to actually, experience many things. So it's just like if it is taking the bus to finding whatever, like library or finding whatever, or just going to random shop, that I might never go again. So it's just like that opportunity, like, or not, just leaving Austin and going somewhere else, leaving the state for like, law school and going somewhere else, like that opportunity and being more socially active is probably one of the good things. And also another one of them is just being, active within, the Austin community and just being, being a participant and just like trying to change many things and just trying to change many instances of what's going on in the political aspect of the U.S. and just saying like this is wrong, like this is incorrect, like and just correcting many things. Because why? Because I come from border town, and literally like I know what's going on there. I've lived there my entire life. So if someone who's not educated in that, I'd rather tell them like this is what's actually going down there, and I can speak the truth because I live there. So it's just like that's one of my things of being, socially active and so on and so on and so like that. And then honestly, like I can say that these are like my 3 or 4 goals that I've said, but there's always more goals that are gonna appear later in 2019 that can appear like tomorrow or in the future, So it's just there'll never be an end to my goals. There'll never be an end to my ambitions of being, more socially active and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's perfectly, that sums up what it is like to be in college, finding where we belong in a community.
Yeah.
And I love being in Frisco and Dallas, and now being down here, being in like a totally different environment, super active a city, and everyone is super active and invested in the culture. Just having going to the farmers market and looking at everyone that's actively building in the Austin community. That's really cool just to see what Austin has to offer and like what's available to like some sort of niche to fill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go on.
So, like one of the things that I really want to do is just, see what there is to offer, like on South Congress, downtown, I really want to just like set my foot in the door in some place that has some sort of power to do stuff in Austin. There's a new, they're planning to do a Apple headquarters down here.
Yeah,
I think it'd be really cool to, go there and say, hey, what if I could do something like some sort of green initiative and just like focus on how Apple can help with like maybe water management, stuff like that,
Just
some sort of like internship
just be
program.
like, hey.
Yeah, and we know, tech is the way of the future. There's so many jobs that are opening there that, I think they say like, if you're in college now, when you get out, you're going to be going for a job that didn't exist.
Yeah.
So that's just crazy for me to think about. So, looking forward into the future, it'd be really cool just to explore those areas that I can actually improve cities. Start small, think local, think global, act local, stuff like that. And it's really just, it's cool to see those people that have done it already. And it really inspires, people to push.
Yeah,
push
to like,
around.
push in many ways that, let me word it differently. So like, let's say you wanna do this thing, let's say, okay, I'll just put this, one of my friends wants to transfer to A&M. So, to A&M Kingsville. And she's very like not, and we're telling her, hey, transfer to A&M College Station because you never know, just apply. And she's like, no, I won't get into College Station because I don't think I'm smart enough for this and that. And let's say if you're gonna doubt yourself on something, then you won't achieve it. Like it doesn't matter that you actually apply to College Station, and whatever you're doing, like it doesn't matter like if it might go wrong, if it might be bad, you honestly just did it. You did it because you wanted to do it. And if it just didn't work out right now, it'll work out later, or it's just something that just wasn't meant for you, If you actually have to go and try it. And if you like it or if you don't like it, then you have to like, you decide, you do your pros and cons, stuff.
Yeah, it's really hard to hype yourself up a lot of times when it's like things like that, because they're very big milestones in your life. And when things don't pan out, plans always change. When things don't pan out, then it's just like you get that bogged down feeling. And to get over that, you've really got to just, the worst thing, one of the classes we took, it was they said, like when we had to reach out to professionals, and they said the worst thing that they could say is no. You're back where you started, so you haven't lost anything. But think of like all the things that could come from that, all the connections, all the experience.
Because you never know to actually say yes, and then you're like, oh, I'm not gonna apply, So it's just like the way you think things, the way you're, it's just like in the job or wherever actually, like, let me apply to, let's say, a local job somewhere here in Austin or wherever you are, but you're saying, oh, I don't have the credentials or I don't have this and that, but hey, you never know, you might actually get accepted or you might actually, achieve, or you might actually get the job or whatever, or you might, or simply like, you might just not get it, but that's not a reason to be depressed. That's not a reason to be, sad. Like you went and did it, and if they said no, both like it's okay, there's another opportunity, just believing in yourself and stuff.
That hits a couple points that I wanted to go on to next. Like keeping your motivation. Again, referring back to our other podcast with the Fictions with Fitness, we talked about how to keep up your athletic goals and motivation. But when it comes to real life, it's a little bit harder just because there's so many different things going on. One of the things that always keeps me motivated is just knowing that something better is coming. As hard as sometimes it may be, if you work hard enough and keep pushing, it does eventually work out. I guess one of the examples for me was back in sophomore year. It was just really hard to focus on school because things were going. My mom was kind of sick, and we had to like focus on her, make sure everything was okay with her. And it was hard because it just took out a lot of time, and like mentally, I wasn't really at school, but I pushed for her, and I was like, I want her there for me when I graduate and walk across, for every milestone of my life. And once we got past that point, it's like, okay, now I can actually focus on it. Opened my eyes to see what was actually there for me. As bad as it may sound, sometimes you may have to have something bad in your life happen to realize those things. So from someone who has, maybe think about those things. Sometimes what I like to do at night is just write down some things that I'm like really thankful for and how I could lead to something better. One example would be like, I hate to say it, use it like this way, but like my injury made me grow my motivation, and now I put that motivation into like consistency and dedication for working out now. Just like figure out what you have and like be thankful for that and use that as a motivation. Say like, oh, I'm so happy that I have this car, and I want to work towards getting a cooler car or a bigger car, something for like, a family in the future, stuff like that. I think that way it's a more positive reinforcement instead of like thinking negatively, like, oh, I just don't want to be fat anymore. Well, that's unspecific. It's very vague. You have no real way to measure it unless you have like SMART goals and all that stuff. And you say, I want to look good so I don't have, or I want to be healthy so I don't have those health issues that I had before. There's so many stories of people that lose so much weight and they actually what's his name? Possible Pete. He lost like 400 pounds because he was huge. He wanted to be big because he was like a personal bodyguard or whatever, but he had a lot of health issues, and because he lost all that weight, now he's in like perfect prime condition. And it's just those stories that apply to real life and careers that really helps. Find role models, find inspiration on how to actually achieve your own goals.
And it's not just that, like, because as humans, we can't do everything by ourselves. So what I'm trying to say is that find yourself a group of friends who wants to go to the gym together so you guys can keep motivating each other. Find yourself, if you have a best friend or you have, your family, like help them motivate you, because you can only get so far. And then once you give up, like once you're like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, like you're just going to relapse.
It's a very hard fall,
and you won't get out of that like quickly, or you won't get out of that super fast the way you think you are. It'll take months, it'll take time.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have that, group of friends, best friends, family, anybody really, and then they give you that sort of motivation or that, in other words, like that sort of inspiration to keep pushing, that'll actually help you, and that'll give you even more like of an inspiration or motivation to us, like, what, like I'm gonna go keep pushing, like it's just going back to, Goku didn't, achieve all of this by himself. He had friends like Piccolo and like, Vegeta and stuff like that he was able to be like, oh my, like, let me beat this guy up because he's terrorizing Earth and stuff like that. Like I want to get stronger because I want to protect my own family, or I want to protect Earth, stuff like that. Like try to keep it in that mindset, like that you're not just the only person doing this. Like all of your actions will be, will like lean towards other people too. So it just depends on the way you take things and the way you activate them and the way you perceive them in many instances, whatever you are doing.
Yeah, that's a good, like you were saying with the friends, I always pretty much worked out alone. No one really wanted to work out with me because I think it's too hard, kind of weird way to say it, but it's just like no one had the drive that I had back home. At least, there's a few that like would work out with me occasionally, and their hearts were in the right place, but everyone has their strengths, and mine was I just really enjoy it. I don't, everyone has their thing that they do. I love playing video games. I love working out. And it's just, something that's been instilled in me. But when I'm not when I don't want to go, it's really hard for me to change my mind. But if I have someone who says, "Hey, let's go to the gym," I'm like, "All right, let's do it." It's way, way easier to do with other people, and it sometimes you can get a better thing out of it. I feel like working out with all my friends, I can actually, help them, sort of like mentor them. I feel better because I can actually, maybe put on some more weight or, just work out harder. You feel that extra motivation at the end. You'll start strong, you'll die out at the end, maybe just because you're tired. But when you're with your friends, it's fun, you're having a good time, and you're not thinking about working out. You're just thinking about making those fun experiences. Like occasionally Jay and I will work out because he likes to work out at night. But those are really fun because I get to like watch him and like see him, try to get big. So like,
It's fun.
excited
Some
to see
weak
like,
guys, I'm literally like a stick for you right now.
yeah, I'll stick for you right now, and then we're gonna be big boy.
I used to be I used to actually have muscle guys, and then I went away, and then I was like, oh, totally acting.
And like, it's weird for me to film in the gym. I feel like really douchey, but it's for my friend's sake because I love watching like progression. That's my favorite thing, like seeing journeys, because you can see someone change from, like I said, health issues to peak health, and like watching, Jake, watching Garrett, watching Jay, anyone who's worked out with me, you can see over these next, whatever weeks until I stop filming, how much better we become just as in the gym. And it's really it's a cool experience. You can literally see as the seconds go by, 8 weeks pass.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be really cool to see, next 3 years, next whatever years, just how those habits
It's gonna go crazy.
Yeah.
Just gotta keep pumping that iron.
Yeah. The Iron Temple, pray the Iron Temple.
Yeah, like Goku didn't achieve Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, and Goku Blue and Ultra Instinct just by, just like that. Like he worked his ass off, in order to achieve those enhanced powers or whatever. I don't know. Don't quote me, but okay.
It's like poetic for society, life.
Yeah, so it's just like, and it doesn't have to be just Dragon Ball. Like I'm a Dragon Ball fan, but like it appears with everything. You can see a little plant, just a small plant. With the adversity of with like global warming and climate change and all that stuff, and the plant is still growing. Like it's still growing from the little seedling, like it's still growing and becoming the plant, and becoming the rose that it's gonna become. Like right now you're that little seedling, you're gonna become that rose. Not right now, because it takes time for it to grow. So you have to keep pushing, like no matter how many weeks it's gonna take you. You just have to keep going and pushing. Just like be like, hey man, I'm gonna become that rose. I'm gonna become that big tree. Whatever. You feel me? Like it's just like, I don't know. It's weird to describe things, but yeah.
And then that, like you're saying with building up to that strength, we have habits to build. I think this is a big good thing as we're going into the next decade of the 2000s. Kind of crazy to think about.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could say we're almost in 33 decades of 2000s. That's crazy.
Almost. Yeah. Just think about it. So I read this thing on Twitter where it was like, we're halfway between 2069 and 1969. So we're like halfway to 2069. Just think about that. That's just like mind blowing in many aspects. And right now, it's been 6,069 days since January 1st to 2000. And it's just like, wow, like we've gone that far, So like you can achieve, you can do it, like you can still keep on doing it and keep on working it. It's not hard. At the beginning, it's going to be hard, but once you achieve what you want to achieve, it's going to be like, hey man, I did it, You're going to get that little whatever, like, and let's say you're going to get the little champagne and be like, clink, clink, like I did it, So you just gotta go for it and keep on going for it and work hard and be just like, and not be like, just describe it. Think about it as sicko mode or Mobamba. Like you have to go sicko mode. You have to go in that sicko mode in order to, achieve whatever you want. Like sicko mode goes hard, Mobamba goes hard. So you know what? Use that and go hard. My analogies are weird, but just go hard.
Anyways, I wanted to talk about habits. habits we should build in 2019. For example, like consistency. I've said this a lot of times before. Consistency, I think, is the biggest determining factor of actually creating habits slash making it important to you. If it's not, granted, if you're not interested in it, you're not going to want to be consistent with it.
Yeah.
But if you are consistent, it becomes easy to just stick with it. And, that's just the way humans are programmed. If, your body, if you constantly put resistance on it, it will accommodate to that resistance. And I think that's one of the biggest things people have to realize is that consistency is literally key. Without that, you're not going to have the dedication because your body's not going to be used to it. If you go once a week and then go 3 times a week, your body's just no. If you don't eat right, your body's also going to give up on you. You're not going to want to go to the gym like you do. You're not going to think right. You might feel right, but as soon as the pressure hits you, your head's just you're gonna bog down. And it just impacts so many parts of whatever your day-to-day activities are. Consistency really is a major influence on who you are. Do you have a habit you want to build?
It's just I'm going back to my analogies, but it's like, let's say you're watching a series, let's say you're watching The Office, and The Office is 8 seasons. And honestly, it's freaking funny, it's a great series. But in order to get to those nine seasons, you either do it on a weekly basis where you just watch 2-3 episodes, or you actually binge watch the series, So what I'm saying is that you binge watch. So you need to binge your development, or do you binge your habits and make them better and achieve them and make them achievable, as I want to say, So honestly, I can say that I have a test, let's say on tomorrow I have a test, but I'm nah, I really don't care about the test. I can study beforehand, but let me watch 2 more episodes of The Office, or The Handmaid's Tale, or let's say or Friends, or whatever series, or all these shows these, or Dragon Ball, or whatever, So let me watch these 2 more episodes, and then I'll get to that, I'll get to studying and stuff like that. If you can do that with every other thing, you can do it with achieving your own personal aesthetic. That's what I would say. I don't know. It's that's the way I think things. I use analogies in order for me to in many ways just to achieve what I want to achieve. So I don't know, it works out.
If you binge the easy things, you kind of build that habit. So if you can apply that towards the harder things, maybe you build it up slowly. So I don't know, you just say, hey, I'm going to walk more. It's not hard, but it's going to be difficult because maybe you have an established route. You already know what you're doing. So it's just finding that extra way to go the same place. And then you're I'm up to an extra 6,000 steps or whatever. I don't know. Those moving slowly, little by little, I think is the next thing, is don't overwhelm yourself. That's the first mistake that people do. They'll overlift, they'll eat too much, or they'll try to eat too right, where you eat too much of the wrong thing, sort of those fake bad foods, all those things where you follow trends, or you just overwhelm yourself. So it's a different tangent, but you just try to overwhelm yourself a little too much, and that's what resets your progress, because you don't want to keep going. And find the middle ground. Maybe undersell yourself a little bit and then work up to it, but at least that way you can do more. Garrett, since I know you're watching, this is the only time I'll say underselling may work.
Is he actually watching it?
He was earlier. I don't know if he still is.
He's watching it.
So undersell yourself maybe just a little bit. Make sure you get your thing going, and then you can actually apply that towards the hard things. And for somebody like me, I'm used to working out, so I was able to find my zone, and I worked at it. But I like I said, I saw all those new resolutioners. I saw them struggling, and it's just you're doing too hard. You're doing the most, and you can't do the least. So that's my thing. That's my next one.
Mm-hmm.
You got another one?
For what?
Habits to build.
Not really. I don't know. I don't. I think habits for me personally is because like the first week's always hard. Like the first few days are always hard, but it's honestly always the most fun. You know, because like last semester, I think it was November. Um, in St. Edwards, there's a closed supermarket HEB, and it's just like 1 mile away. So when I wanted to run, I don't personally like running on the treadmill. I like running outside with the scenery and like breathing in, and, seeing something different. And so when I personally started to run, uh, like 2 miles, I started to run 2 miles every day because I wanted to go back to be able to run my 2 miles in under 12 minutes, 13 minutes. So I started running, and from here to HEB, like and back, I did it in 26 minutes when I first started my 2 mile run, and then I kept pushing and pushing and pushing like every single day. I would try to make time for it, and my time went shorter, got shorter until finally I got to like 15 minutes with my 2 miles, and then I couldn't like change from that. So then it's just you just have to keep going, like get that little habit. Let's say you want to start something, like start it right now and just keep on building it every day, and then you'll get better at it. And it's not just with like being healthy and stuff like that. It goes back to your academics. It's going like in math, like if you don't understand, let's say, how to achieve the derivative, or like you can't do the definition of a derivative, like you would do like so many problems in order where you don't even have to like think about it. You just do it, you achieve it, and you're like, okay, this is the answer. Like you just keep going at it. Or in writing isn't a gift, it's a skill. Like you have to practice, you have to keep on like practicing that to develop that skill. And in such, like it's just not, it doesn't end there. Like you can't stop, you just have to keep going and push like as hard as you can. And maybe your hardest one day is just too much. So like just like maybe one day, like when you're pushing too hard, it'll be too much for you. So like always work things out on the day, because you're gonna be tired one day and you're just gonna be like, no, I can't do this. Like let's say I'll just do 30 minutes of this, or like 5 minutes of this and that, in order to just like find yourself, but you're still keeping at it. And that's what truly matters, and truly truly develop that habit. Because it just takes 3 to 4 weeks in order to develop a habit and make it achievable.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, so I think those are some good habits to like start building off of for 2019. We're at the end of month one. We're 1/12 done with 2019 already. So I think to finish off, I want to talk about things we wish we were told going into college. Is there anything like?
You can start off.
Okay. This isn't like everything. This is just kind of sort of in the same theme, so it's relevant. I think the first thing everyone talks about freshman 15. And it's a different situation at every college. My rec center relative to other schools is really close, but I didn't utilize it because I don't know. I just didn't have the drive. I don't know. And before, getting injured, I was just like, I don't want to go to the gym, but I didn't realize how big of an impact that had on me. So I really wish someone had told me the importance of, self-maintenance was. It's super easy to do nothing all day.
Yeah.
Like today I have one class at 8 a.m. and at 9 o'clock I was done. I ate breakfast and went back to my room and just hung out. And after this, we're going to go work out. But in general, I just meant like a semester ago, I would have been in my bed all day doing nothing. And granted, the weather's not great right now, but what I wanted to do was go downtown and check a couple places out, like the library and just like stuff like that. But, give yourself a bone once in a while. Like treat yourself sometimes. It may set your progress a little bit, but it's not like the end of the world. You can, eat that ice cream or whatever. You can eat those Oreos.
Yeah. And I think for me personally, like going to college, like since I'm from the valley, like there's not much to do like over there back home. So I came to Austin, and there's so much to do, and there's so much that it's just like whoa, like what am I gonna do like tomorrow, what I'm gonna do next, what I'm gonna do like this and that. And then, you know, the first 3 weeks, the first like month I was there, I would just go out every day. I didn't care about my academics. I was like, hey, like it doesn't matter, like, you know, it's all gonna work out somehow. And I was like, oh, stupid. And then every Friday and Saturday I would go partying, you know, at UT or stuff like that, you know. And then um and then people would tell me, you know, you need to chill, you need to calm down, like this, and that. And you're just like, why? Like, you know, like I only have one undergrad, like I have to go, like, you know, hard. And it's not that, like, you know, like you have to, what I would say is that you just have to, let's say, sustain yourself, or in any ways, just, you know, be calm. Because, like, college is not going anywhere. Yeah, my freshman year is going by, like, super fast. But, you know, like, everything like there's gonna be a party every Friday. Like there's gonna be something. So like take a week to calm yourself and just be like, okay, this is my weekend. Like I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna do all my homework. You know, like treat yourself. You know, because you know it's always going to be there. And let's say, and also let's say with your friends, like if you meet new people, honestly, like going into college, I didn't realize how social I had to be to actually make friends, because I came to a college where I had no friends and where I didn't know anybody. So honestly, like I had to be, you know, happy. I had to get actually out of my room because I wanted to make friends. I wanted to, you know, be part of a group and such. So it's just like, it's so social. You live in such a social atmosphere and there's so much pent up energy with everybody that it's just like, the first few 2-3 months is gonna be hard, you know, at first because you're like you just want to be by yourself, you know.
Yeah,
like
yeah. You gotta find out what you want.
Yeah, and you're just like, no, like you actually have to go and reach out, you know. And that's what's fun about it. Like it's irritating, but it's fun about it. And then, honestly, like since you have technically in college, like you have like an AB schedule, you know. So I would just study, like focus on your grades because this is where it really matters, you know. Like after college, whatever you're gonna do, master's, PhD, or whatever, or now you're just going straight into, you know, work once you get your bachelor's. Like they're gonna see your GPA, they're gonna see your like what your achievements, and I would just say like start right now because your freshman year defines you, and after that, like it's gonna be hard to pick everything up. And I can see that from people that have told me, you know, like I had friends who are like, yeah, I wish I had gone hard my freshman year, you know. And then you're just like, wait a minute, like I'll use your advice and go hard myself, you know. Yeah, I didn't go like hard my first month, but like after realizing that, you know, this isn't just it, like there's more to it. There's more to college than just going to parties and getting drunk and getting, you know, doing this and that, you know. You realize that, oh, this is really the college atmosphere, you know. Like it's not just partying, like I had a Friday last semester. I had many Fridays where I would just, you know, hang out with some friends and literally we just talk about each other, like get to know each other more. And we would have board game night, or we have something where, you know, like it just didn't consist of partying, you know, like you just, because parties, yeah, they're fun, but like, you know, they get boring after a while and everybody goes to one. It's just so boring and so bland. And, you know, actually connecting with people, I think that's more enjoyable and that's more convenient towards you, you know, like just order pizza one Friday evening and literally just hang out, you know, or just be by yourself. Like there's nothing wrong, you know. That's all. And also another thing is that in college, don't be afraid to make friends and don't be afraid to reach out to your professors. Actually, you know, like as a freshman, like get to know your professors, like because one day you're gonna ask a professor for a letter of rec, and also get to know your financial advisor, get to know your academic advisor, because those are the people that, you know, that are always going to be there and stuff like that. And yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, that finishes today's episode. Jay, thank you again for coming on.
Thank you.
I hope everyone kind of learned something. Definitely, I think we'll do an episode near the end of the year talking about, you know, a review, just kind of like how everyone does. Other than that, thank you for watching. See you next week. And have a great rest of your day. Legit, dude. How you feel?
Yeah, that's cool. Good week.